So you get that email, the briefs comes in. What's the first thing you scan? Because you scanned thousands of them.
Yeah.
What's the first thing you look at?
I think the first thing I would look at is the type of the engagement. Is it an active project? Is it a proposal? Second is basically how big is the engagement? How many calls they need for this project? And the third thing is basically the timeline, how urgent it is. Definitely how we deal with a request that is due tomorrow or today is completely different than how we deal with a project that is going to be launched a couple of months from now. So first, as I mentioned, type of the engagement. Second, total number of calls, how big. Third, how urgent it is. And then it's basically project specific information. What types of companies are we targeting? What companies are higher priority than others? If there's any, for example, compliance information that we need to be aware of, for example, companies that we should exclude completely from our search, which companies, are we allowed to contact current employees of the companies that they're targeting, and geographies of interest, screening questions, definitely, and as I mentioned, it's really project specific. It depends on the type of project and the brief in question.
Okay. For you, what do you think good brief looks like? And also, could you give us a possible example? Of course, non-confidential.
So I would say a good brief for us is a very long one with very, if you want, a very detailed brief with every single information that could be relevant to you or not. When the consultant gives us a lot of context in their brief, it helps us understand the brief better, it helps us cater our search better, it helps us target our search better, because at the end of the day, we're a custom sourcing expert network. So we need to understand the brief if you want to do custom sourcing. And the big part of doing custom sourcing right is to understand what exactly the client needs. So I would say the most important factor to really say this is a good brief is how detailed it is. And second of all, the details that I mentioned, to have the necessary information that we need to launch our efforts, number of calls, timeline, if, for example, the list of companies or entities that they're interested in, is it exhaustive or not? Are we allowed to expand? How flexible they are? Compliance information, as I mentioned, if we were allowed to contact current formers. Also, for example, a very important note that not really, like we don't really see consultants mentioning it, is basically if they're interested in informing employees, for example, from the entities, how far back can we go? When is the limit? For example, if I get you someone 2023, is he or she still of interest or not? So all of these small details, they sound silly, but when it comes to reality, when we start giving experts, it's some of them are deal breakers. So I think if I'm gonna give you a simple answer, it's a very, very detailed brief. This is basically the definition of a good brief for an expert network.
Interesting. Okay, to add on that, could it be too detailed? Could it be too specific that you'd say, okay, there's too much information for me to just be useful?
I don't think so, because as I mentioned, every single detail that is included in the brief could be leveraged in your behalf. We had a lot of, for example, we work on a lot of healthcare projects, and when it comes to, for example, drug research and diseases and primary research that you want to target, for example, specific doctors and specific doctors that are experts in specific diseases. Usually these briefs are 2 pages long, It's important for us to have this information because if this brief is not that long, I'm gonna take this brief, go on Google, go to the AI sources and start expanding on it, understanding it more. So the more information, the better for us. It's not really a matter of if it's too long or not, because at the end of the day, we're gonna do our own research to really understand the topic. So if it's given by the consultant themselves, it's even better for us.
So I think that what makes a bad brief is basically something that is opposite of what you just mentioned.
Exactly, it's a limited information, very generic. For example, sometimes consultants come to us with a request. I want experts in the media sector. We literally received this brief.
Yeah.
Okay,
we got something like this.
We got recently something like this. Okay, we definitely can help you, but what sector, which specific geography, what seniority, what topics of interest, region, how urgent, how many calls. So if you omit all of these information, we don't even know if it's a proposal or not even. So yeah, I think as you mentioned, a bad brief is a very generic, small, not really detailed one, and a good brief is a brief that includes all the necessary information.
Okay, and what's the most common omissions that you found? Like, what's the most common thing that people miss out or consultants miss out in adding on briefs? Is it sometimes you don't add regions? Is it you don't add the number of calls maybe?
Yeah, so I think
maybe top 3 most omissions, for example.
I think calls, numbers of calls.
They don't mention it.
They don't mention it. Or for example, the timeline, when are they looking to start calls? Sometimes they mention ASAP, and ASAP could mean today, ASAP could mean next week, you know. Sometimes, for example, the list of entities, they send us a market and they don't specify which entities to target. We need to figure it out. We can do it, but definitely, for example, if we come up with our own list and then they align with their client and then they have another list, then the last couple of days, like we were not being productive, and they didn't get any value from our effort. So yeah, there are a lot of information that could really affect our work and really affect the delivery and affect basically their project timelines. And yeah, it depends basically on every single project. It's really project specific.
Okay, I was thinking before this, I want to give out an actionable guideline. And we mentioned a lot of things, very useful things. But of course, as you know, consultants and our other clients, investment firms, PE firms, etc., are busy people. And sometimes they don't have time to write 2-page briefs. What would you say are the top 3 most important things that, if they don't have the time to mention anything, what are the top 3 things that they need to mention? And it will be somewhat enough for you to at least gauge what they need.
Sure. So first of all, I think I'm going to mention the most important information: type of engagement, active project proposal. Second of all, total number of calls.
Let's first. So what does it mean for us as active project or proposal in our perspective?
Because an active project, it's a project where it's an urgent one. Usually, they need calls. They need to engage with experts. So we need to screen experts. We need actually to contact them. We need to check if they can cover topics. A proposal is basically a project where a client comes to us and they ask us to send them only profiles, description of experts, without really connecting with them. So it differs completely from an operational standpoint from us. So we need to understand like which type of project are we tackling before we start.
So number 1, type of project.
Type of project. Number 2 is number of calls. Very important, because we're a custom sourcing expert network. We need to allocate the necessary resources. Third is basically the timeline, when they are looking to start engaging with experts. And fourth, basically the companies and screening questions. For each angle, if they have multiple research angles, what companies to target, and what are the topics that they want to discuss with the experts, so we can screen them against them.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a fairly reasonable advice and that they can use. You mentioned something about do not contacts and I think something like conflicts of interest or stuff like this. How important is this?
I think I missed this information. This is very, very, very important because if we don't know we call it DNC, which is do not contact or off-limit company. If you don't know which companies we cannot contact, then for example, if you send us a list of entities and you tell us contact currents and formers, and we know, for example, that you're conducting a DD in the market, and we don't know the target, which is going to be the not contact company. We're not allowed to contact any current employees in the industry because we don't know if, for example, we're targeting the target. So from a compliance standpoint, it's very, very important for us to understand which entities we should omit completely from our search.
I think, it takes time to write, or does it take time? It takes somewhat a little time to write a good brief, but it saves a lot of time later for
100%.
you and them as well.
100%.
Yeah, okay.
So rather than, I know consultants are, their schedule is completely packed all the day, especially, for example, in projects that requires a lot of calls. My advice to them is basically give us as much details as possible. Let's hop on a call before the project starts, and then I'm not gonna be bothering you. The reason why we call our clients is not just to bother them or to sell profiles. The reason just to target our search is to help them, to really make sure that we're serving them right. That's the reason basically behind client comms. And when client comms starts in the right way, starts with a good brief, starts with a good briefing call, then the rest of the process will become much smoother.